The long-awaited Pyro Traveller has finally been released in 5.3 together with the conclusion of the Natlan Archon quest. The Pyro Traveller is really unique because unlike the other elements, you don't get the element upon unlocking the Natlan Statue of the Seven. So, given that much build-up, the Pyro Traveller must be amazing, right? In today's video, let's compare how the Pyro Traveller fares compared to the other elements. Does it live up to the expectations, or is it literally hot garbage? Let us take a look. In my previous video, I did a comparison between the 5 previous Traveller elements and ranked them accordingly. Rather than redo the whole segment, let me simply do a brief recap of each Traveller's skills and the rank that I gave them. Coming in at number 5, we have the Hydro Traveller. Hydro Traveller is unfortunately the worst because there is zero purpose for their kit. For one, Pyro Traveller is supposed to be an on-field DPS, basically mirroring Neuvalet's kit, but instead of a Hydro Cannon, they shoot bubbles. What's more, they literally stand in place when shooting, making them completely vulnerable to attacks. Second, the attacks don't apply as much Hydro, so they wouldn't even be a good driver. Which means that honestly, there's really no point in using the Hydro Traveller. At number 4, we have the Geo Traveller. I would personally say that the Geo Traveller is only slightly better than the Hydro one. Once again, the Geo Traveller presents itself to be more of a skill and burst DPS, in the sense that you would throw the skill and burst, then swap off field. Now this isn't bad in any sense, there are honestly a lot of characters like this in Genshin, but it's just that the Traveller's multipliers are so low and the skill doesn't do that much damage. Once you swap the Traveller out, they do not reapply Geo or deal any more damage, which is just a waste of team slot if you ask me. This is unlike someone like say Xiangling, who can throw Guoba down, use a burst, then swap out and still contribute to the team. The main plus I would say is the Geo Resonance, which buffs damage and shield strength if you pair him or her with another Geo character. And of course their Constellation 1, which increases the team's crit rate by 10%. At number 3 is the Electro Traveller. Electro Traveller sets the trend that a support or sub-DPS Traveller is the way to go thanks to their low multipliers. Electro is somewhat usable thanks to the fact that the Traveller can throw down their skill and burst, then swap to help apply Electro and help regenerate energy for the team. This helps the Traveller become a battery for the team, which can be useful for teams such as the national team. That said, Traveller is still only a budget Raiden, and you may be better off with another character in the team like Sucrose rather than the Traveller. At number 2, we have the Animal Traveller. The Animal Traveller is here not really due to the actual kit, but rather for their artifact set and constellations. Being Animal, it allows her to wield the Viridescent Venera artifact to swirl and reduce the enemy's elemental resistance by 40%. This in itself is already so powerful, but when coupled with a free Constellation 6, which provides a 20% damage increase to the element swirled in the burst, it makes her honestly a great support character. And finally, at number 1, we have the Dendro Traveller. Dendro is number 1 simply because of how strong Dendro is. As Dendro reacts based on elemental mastery, it can help to skip the Traveller's poor skill scalings to help deal good Dendro reaction damage. What's more, Dendro Traveller is also an off-field support which can apply Dendro well with his or her elemental burst. Using them can help to free up the deep wound memory set from your other Dendro characters such as Nahida to go for a more DPS focused build with say the Gilded Dreams artifact set. Her Constellation 6 also increases the damage of the element absorbed by her lamp by 12%, which can be beneficial for your team. With that, we've come to today's main topic, Pyro Traveller. How does the Pyro Traveller fit in the rankings? Let's first look at their kit. For their elemental skill, it's similar to Mavuika, in which tapping or holding has different effects. Tapping will summon a blazing threshold, which deals pyro damage every second to nearby enemies. Holding it will summon the scorching threshold, which will deal a coordinated pyro attack on an enemy once every 3 seconds. This means that when your characters hit an enemy, the coordinated attack will launch on the enemy no matter their location. Do note that there is a standard ICD of 2.5 seconds, so even though the blazing threshold, or the tap skill, hits every 1 second, don't expect to apply pyro that much. Also, the Traveller's skill can only last for 12 seconds no matter how much Night Soul points they have. The Elemental Burst deals Night Soul aligned pyro damage and then restores the Traveller's Night Soul points. The burst damage multiplier is actually quite a lot, around 700% at level 10. Their notable constellations are their C1 and C4. Their C1 increases the current active character's damage by 6% and an additional 9%, or a total of 15% if the character is in a Night Soul state. Their C4 gives the Traveller a 20% pyro damage bonus after using the Elemental Burst. Her artifact choice is also quite flexible. If you want to go with the sub DPS route, you can use the Cinder City set to boost the team's elemental damage by 40%. Otherwise, you can go for the Obsidian Codex to make them into a DPS. So, how is the Pyro Traveller overall? As you can already tell, she is a budget Mavuika, but it isn't all that bad. What actually makes her great is the fact that she can apply Pyro off-field with an elemental skill, something which Genshin desperately needed. This skill is also so flexible depending on the DPS type. Let's say you have a long-range bow user like Ganyu. Not to worry, the hold E for the Traveller works. But it honestly isn't that good, as it isn't immediate and it just doesn't last long enough. Her tap E is better though, as it applies Pyro more effectively for the closer range characters like say Moalani. Also, don't you guys think that it's quite surprising that most of the Pyro sub DPSs in game have actually been burst supports? Just look at Thoma and Xiangling. Having to rely on their burst makes it tough to reliably proc Pyro application, especially if they are the only Pyro character in the team. For instance, Xiangling still has horrible energy recharge even if you give her a lot of it. Now, it is true that it's annoying that the Pyro Traveller skill only lasts for 12 seconds with 18 seconds cooldown, which is sometimes annoying for rotations. If you don't trigger a Pyro related reaction, this will be even shorter. That said, you can circumvent that by using the Sacrificial Sword to reset the cooldown and use the skill again. With their Constellation 1, I think it makes them especially great to pair with Natlan characters. I particularly like to use her with Moalani. Let's not forget the artifact set as well, which is a free 40% elemental damage buff since they will be in the Night Soul Blessing state. It's also nice that apart from all the sub DPS action, you can also make the Traveller somewhat into a DPS herself, since their burst has quite a high scaling. It's nothing amazing, but the option is there if you wanted to. Do note that as of this video, the Pyro Traveller's Constellation 6 has not been released. They may become a better DPS character in the future depending on what that constellation is. So, compared with the other elements, where do I place the Pyro Traveller? Considering that the Pyro Traveller can also equip an artifact similar to the Viridescent Veneera for the Animal one, and still serve as a good sub DPS or DPS that allows for mobility and not just circle impact, it makes them a lot more flexible than the Dendro one. And hence, I would probably place them at number 1 instead. So the list will look something like this, with Hydro at 6th place, while Pyro will be at 1st. With that, we've come to the end of today's video. Do you agree with what I mentioned about the Pyro Traveller? Do let me know down in the comment section below. If you have made it this far, do consider leaving a like and subscribing if you haven't, as it will really help out this small channel to get to its next goal of 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much and see you soon! If you'd like to see which standard banner character is the most worth it to build, please click the video on the right. If you'd like to see my other Genshin Impact videos, please click the playlist on the left. Once again, thank you so much for watching and see you again next time. Bye bye!